Namaste Bharat, or a warm good evening. Greetings to each and every one of our viewers today. And on behalf of the Delphic Council of Maharashtra, I, Dr. Paramita Mishra, welcome you all to this first episode of Delphic Dialogue. Before we proceed, let us first take a look at what Delphic is all about. Delphic is to art and culture as Olympic is to games. Now, Delphic games of the modern era involve presentations, exhibitions, competitions, and other activities in 6 different fields of art. Inspired by the Delphic games of ancient Greece, the International Delphic Council, that is IDC, with headquarters in Berlin, was founded in 1994. Since 1995, the IDC actively supports the creation of the national Delphic organizations. This IDC is a voluntary, non-profit, non-political, non-religious global organization that works to foster harmony amongst people through engagements in the various.
Thank you, Mrs. Parimita, and thank you, Delphic Council and Delphic Dialogues Maharashtra for inviting me as the first speaker on this platform. What is Olympics? I believe art and culture. And when I first heard about Delphic Dialogue, I was a little bit surprised, but then I did a little bit of research trying to understand what the council does. And I believe that Delphic Council is one of the gold mine for Indian heritage. Delphic intention of bringing art, culture, music, sports on a global platform is highly commendable. The team who are working for Delphic Council in Maharashtra under the Delphic Dialogue is doing extremely a great job. Could see the patriotic feeling, spirits, and as an educationist, being part of the Delphic Council of Maharashtra, I think I am very happy to be a part of the journey, supporting the members to take their goals ahead. Once again, I thank all the members, speakers, for people who are directly and indirectly part of the journey, calling me on the platform as a speaker. And I look forward ahead to discuss various sides of bringing how integrating art and culture through Delphic Council in the education system of India.
Well, thank you so much. And Delphic Dialogue is a modest effort by the Delphic Council of Maharashtra to create awareness and ebullience amongst all the citizens of India to recognize, revive, respect, and restore our rich heritage of Indian culture in our country. These interactive sessions are going to be with experts who will enable enlightenment and integration of the same in our education sector. So tune into our weekly program every week to enrich and enjoy these exciting and educative discussions. And for today, our topic is integration of art and culture in our education system. And let us see who our guest today is. A dynamic leader. She has 17 plus total experience with 15 years in administrative leadership. She's been a principal. She's been the head of the department, a global edtech strategy of business excellence for project planning, course development and operations. Signature strength is the unique blend of strong industry and academia experience with excellent strategic planning and execution, administration, institutional branding, stakeholder engagement, coaching, training, and edtech industry expertise. Winning attitude that inspires teams to go above and beyond. A very sought after keynote speaker for events in schools, colleges, universities, education, conferences, and faculty development. She's delivered several programs on leadership training, pedagogy, industry, academia, readiness, life, and soft skills for leading schools, universities, and institutions. She's very passionate about coaching teams for high performance and success. She's been a member of Leaders Excellence in Harvard Square, Massachusetts, Cambridge, USA. So we couldn't have had a more dynamic personality than Miss Rajni Julka, for our first show of Delphic Dialogue. Welcome, Miss Rajni. We are really very happy to have you on our show today. And
Thank you so much, Parimata.
so, how do you think that Delphic can actually enter the school and inspire our students?
Okay, that's something very interesting question or thought, because the second level of education comes from the school. Of course, the first education comes from home, but the school is considered as the second parent. And a child spends almost like 12 years of the precious life within the schools, from grade, not 12, I would say 15 years, from the early childhood education till grade 12, somewhere till 10. So that 12 to 15 years of age, year is the most dynamic period for the students to develop their skills, and coming under the most value driven education system. Now, since the Delphic Dialogues, the rationale of Delphic Dialogues, or the idea of Delphic Dialogue, is to bring the art, music, culture, dance, all integrated within the subject. I think we are talking about STEM curriculum a lot. It's been in line of sight, in the wow factor in the education system quite sometimes, since 10 to 12 years I'm hearing. And from 2017 or 16, I call it a STEAM curriculum, where I have integrated A within a STEAM. Even my profile states about STEAM curriculum. So people have been asking me, so why not to bring art in the curriculum? And when Delphic Dialogue has this, uh, the funda of Delphic Dialogue is to integrate the art and the culture. So let's begin it from the early age. And doing it is very easy. Actually, we have been doing it since ages. If you see, India is the seat of ancient art and culture humanities, because we are the seat of Takshila, Nalanda University, where people, the scholars across the world, have come into India and took their studies from here. And then they have went across the world and spreaded the kind of education we imparted in India. And this was we have been doing. So old is always a fashion, which we say. So we are having these integrated part of the activities within the school. Now, if you see the new education policy coming in picture, I think it's a wow factor. It's a very, very decent and a right move, where Delphic Dialogue can play a very important role of bringing such kind of strategic sites and blending it with the experiential learning model in a school. Because now 50% is academia, but 50% of your focus is more on the co-curricular and the skill development side. And when we talk about Delphic Dialogue, which I researched and understood, we are talking about bringing the co-curricular arts, culture, along with developing the skills of these students for the longer career driven thought process, and blending the education, value education in the system. It's a pride for a child or any parent to carry your heritage till your life. That's the beauty which we feel. Now, if you see the new education policy, a child, the kind of it is structured, a child has a lovely way of opting two optional subjects of his choice as a passion. So we are talking about career prospect also. Now, if you bring art and culture within the education system, and the child has this liberty of opting art and culture also as one of the subjects, so tomorrow he can convert his passion also into a profession. So it's about building up and upskilling a child's thought process at the right age, because early 4 years to 6 years of time, if you see, Dr. Parimata, that is the best period of a child, where the nerve systems are generating and developing to the best. It goes up to an age of till the grade of 5th standard to 8th standard, but higher as you go, the development slows down. There is no progressive development. So the sooner the better. Now, when you're making a lesson plan in the classroom, so integrating art and culture into subject like sciences, social sciences, value-driven subjects is more easily, that will make a life more happier. So I think the initiative of Delphic Dialogue towards a happier life, and mantra of life is education should be being at peace and happy. We are moving in the right direction. And that is which brings a lot of pride, self-confidence, not among the teachers or educators, it's also among students and parents. Now, biggest question as you asked is, what does integration looks like? We talk about integrating it in a curriculum or in the school. But the question is, what does it look like is the question. How to integrate is a different question, but what does integration look like? I'll give a very small example, I think, because many of the parents are watching this, will be watching this session. Uh, a fourth grade child who is studying geometry, actually, if you see geometry is nothing. It's a artistic design, which is a art form basically, which was done by a Russian artist called Vasily. So a child is given in a classroom to draw a structure based on the angles. So he's basically drawing, integrating art with different kinds of angles, shapes, and sizes. Now, what happens when you do a collaborative study in a classroom and a child goes and learn different angles within the classroom, they discuss about it. They're actually discussing about the artistic value which Vasily has integrated into the education system. So it is already actually existing. What is happening is we have not understood that how to integrate or how to implement, but it already exists in our system. I'll take you another example of like for windmill. We have been talking about in sciences about windmill. So we have windmills with the vanes all together. Now there is a concept which says only the piston will be rotating at a high oscillation, which is a class 5 subject as a windmill. So when we make a project, we demonstrate the windmill structure. So we are doing that in the project learning within the classroom. So child knows how the material looks like. He will design the piston with a particular structure. He will make it rotated. So he is actually applying the art structure. Now when he's rotating, he's adding a little bit music to it. Musics are very soothing. Now what we are doing is we are actually planning to actually develop the high order thinking skills of child. He is also solving the problem skills. So all this is happening in the school, but it is not fully integrated in the curriculum. I think this is the way where the initiatives of Delphic Dialogue taken properly within the schools will do a wonders in having project-based learning and progress-based learning, making young innovators within the education system.
Yeah,
So
that's
this is how,
yes, yes. I do agree that yes, so that's very true what you're saying, that we should start from a very early age because neurons are highly active, in the children who are up to say 10 years old. And that's something very interesting. There are various ways of doing it up. I absolutely appreciate your ideas. And I would like to ask you something that, our Indian education system, it has known to be one of the best since ancient times. And you've already spoken about it to say that, we have it all in our system and we are doing it on a daily basis. But somewhere there's a lack of integration and implementation. But nowadays what we find is there is a lot of deviation from our traditional pattern. And scoring has become the most relevant factor. People are only after marks, grades, and scoring. So, with this bent of mind, how do you think that we can actually have art and culture back incorporated into the system? हम अपनी संस्कृति को किस तरह से इस सिस्टम में वापस ला सके एजुकेशन सिस्टम में कि मार्क्स और स्कोरिंग की तरफ नहीं पढ़ के हमारा फोकस आर्ट एंड कल्चर और उसके ऊपर है. Like, how do we get it back into our system?
Art and culture has always been recognized, Dr. Parinita. The best way of learning style is art and culture. If you see a child, generally, if you see we also, we are at best when we learn through music. Music therapy is the best. We are at best when we do something which is of artistic value to us. We are at best something when we bring cultural way of learning. This has already been seeded in our traditional way the Indian society is, and it is of great pride. What we have done is in past 20 years or 30 years, somewhere we have lost the gap or the bridge, and we have broken the threads, connections or the threads. It's in a very wavy way, or it's very tied up kind of somewhere here and there. But art and culture has always been recognized. It will be recognized, and it will always be there.
Yeah. Now, how do you think we can get it back? Because somewhere we have become very marks and scores oriented.
Yes. So I would say really thanks to the new education policy, which has brought only 50% focus on academics for the marks. Now, new education policy talks about 50% on the skill development and co-curricular activities. So by default, now all the stakeholders in the education system will have to integrate and blend into their course structure, because now the scoring is also on these parameters. Earlier, the scoring were only on the academic part of it. Formative assessments were there and assessment were there, which did not took a very good leap altogether. But now the system is going to change. So of course it will take its own way and course of action. But important is that, are all the stakeholders within the system ready to accept that yes, a child's skill development will only be progressive when art and culture is blended? Taking an example of a class, any class, we do a lot of dramas, we do a lot of role plays. Now it's a matter of pride that within the role play itself, can we reflect the character of various, cultural heritage people, warriors, emperors? Do we have a dramatic scene which depicts the lifestyle of early times? There are a lot of learning happens. So we have been doing all this kind of elocution, debate, role play within the school already, but we were never able to connect it the value. We were just doing out of interest. We are now connecting it to the value system towards how the culture is required and how the value education. And our times we had moral science, of course. Now the value education is again back in the new education policy. So it's a very wonderful move. So I think we have already taken a first step. And I think maybe it is by choice or by the force of the curriculum, all the stakeholders would have to bring or integrate art and culture within the curriculum. That is something I think people will have to do.
Yeah, I guess it's a
Because
long, it's a very, like, I would not say that it's something which is impossible, but it is actually a Herculean task, convincing people, convincing parents, and then, getting back getting back the deviation from the scoring back to art and the culture and accepting it. So that, I guess,
it's
is
actually all
definitely.
other discipline of disciplines, whether it is
Yes,
science,
yes.
English, math,
Hmm.
or all leaning back on arts, all are leaning back on the culture, all are leaning back on the music.
Yes,
So STEAM is called as something which we discussed in my previous
right.
share also.
Mhm.
STEAM is something we bring A, which call arts. M can be replaced both by mathematics and music at times. How do you blend? So as we go forward, definitely we'll share about more sides of how we blend with.
Like we often see, like a child may be very good at art, very good at art, very good at music and at dance. But then he's not much encouraged to pursue it, because parents keep on saying that what's the use? It's not going to fetch you marks in the exams. And subsequently, it's not going to improve your scorecard for further studies. You will not get admission into a good college. So somewhere his interest lies in art or culture and music. But the school curriculum, or I would say the ambience, makes it so that parents discourage that particular talent and force the child to take to education only. So, as an educationist, what do you think can be done at the practical and ground level to promote this aesthetic talent?
This is a very question which you have hit to especially to the society and the parents. We are running very fast in the disruptive world of
Yes.
AI, machine learning, and augmented reality, where we
Hmm.
believe that everything belongs to the corporate structure or everything revolves on the technology. We have made our mindset, because the kind of gap we see in the generation gap, especially the environmental gap we had been seeing from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 and tier 4, we find that people's value and culture is differentiating a lot. And we have this notion of going into one line of sight of technology and technology. However, uh, uh, it is something like that what you can begin to remove now, you will be able to nurture the saplings more healthier. So it's better approach from a parent side or the society or as an educators to remove such notions from the system, because the young minds are the most uh, clay kind which you can mold in any form.
Hmm.
Now the irony is that many of the parents or society doesn't know the career prospect of art, music, culture. There are huge prospect. So if you see the India Today survey, we says that we only have 7 career options, because parents thought process is that once they have put the child in the school, they would like to have school को बच्चों को सिर्फ मुझे है कि 12th अच्छा कर ले, graduation कर ले, masters कर ले, मुझे एक अच्छी जॉब मिल जाए। अच्छी जॉब के लिए उनका एक फिक्स्ड है कि भाई इंजीनियर होगा, डॉक्टर होगा, सिविल you can be an IS officer or something like, into a corporate, into IT and all. But actually, to a surprise, there are 254 career options listed as of now, and the society is only aware about the 7 to 10 within the range, mostly 7. So very strikingly, that even the parents are not aware of, even the society. किसी को ये नहीं पता है कि आप म्यूजिक थेरेपिस्ट भी बन सकते हो। किसी को ये नहीं पता है कि जब आप फैशन डिजाइनिंग करते हो तो उसके लिए आपको आर्ट्स सीखना होगा, या ड्राइंग, स्केचिंग शुड बी गुड।
तो अगर आपको कैसे लगता है कि हम इस चीज को पेरेंट्स तक या स्कूल तक या बच्चों तक पहुंचा सके, इन करियर्स के बारे में? क्योंकि अभी भी शायद लोगों को पता नहीं है। जैसे हम देखते हैं ना स्कूल्स में, आपने भी देखा होगा, मैंने भी देखा है, जैसे ही बच्चा 9th में आता है, इनफैक्ट 9th में तो हम आर्ट और म्यूजिक के पीरियड्स भी नहीं लगाना चाहते हैं अपने टाइम टेबल में, बिकॉज क्या होता है ना, वी थिंक इट्स अ वेस्टेज. I'd rather put in an extra period of maths or an extra period of English or maybe science or SS to complete the curriculum and make their child prepare for competitive. हम सोचते हैं कि अगर हमने अभी डांस या म्यूजिक का दिया तो इट्स अ वेस्टेज। और होता भी ऐसा है कि आपने क्लास ऑफ 45 को अगर आपने म्यूजिक या डांस का पीरियड दे दिया, हो सकता है एक तो को इंटरेस्ट, बट व्हाट अबाउट द अदर्स, तो वो वेस्टेज लगता है। तो आपको क्या लगता है कि लाइक ये जो करियर ऑप्शंस है, इनकी हम पहचान कैसे करें और हम इनके बारे में किस तरह से करें ताकि बच्चों को ना बहुत अर्ली एज से, मे बी प्राइमरी एज से, क्या आपको लगता है कि प्राइमरी एज से इसका होना चाहिए, वेरी अर्ली एज, या हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में ऐसी कोई बदलाव हो कि आर्ट एंड कल्चर को हम लेके जा सके पूरी की पूरी, मतलब लोअर लेवल, मतलब क्या हो सकता है? आपने बहुत अच्छे करियर के बारे में,
right, Dr. Parimita, it is a continuous improvement way. Of course, career counseling schools में आनी चाहिए, but from a grade level of 8 onwards. छोटे बच्चों को we can't say about career counseling in the beginning. In the early stage of pre-primary, primary, or even to an early secondary stage, it is about building your skills, integrating all this. It is a knowledge economy right now we were talking about, but now it is innovation economy. When we talk about innovation, let's not only innovate products. ये important है parent के लिए या educators को understand. Let's innovate our own student also. Let's innovate ourselves. Teachers को, educators को innovate होना पड़ेगा, because even the CBSE have brought a mandate कि आपको 2 classes per week for music, 2 per week for dance. Now the point is, what is the value of this? क्या पता है educators को, क्या parents को पता है, क्या parent orientation program schools में होते हैं इस चीज को लेकर? If schools need a support, they can reach out to Delphic Dialogues, and the Delphic Dialogue can do a parent orientation. Fine, these days it's online, we can do online. So point is कि career
इस बारे में like when we talk about online, I would just like to pause and just ask you something. Abhi over the past 1.5 years or 2 years, we've got into a completely different mode of education. The pandemic has made us completely online. Abhi in this, what happens? I'll tell you a very practical problem with schools. Being head of a school, I have faced. You must have also been facing, and many other principals.
Right.
When we design the curriculum for an online class, we've got to keep in mind कि देखो the child का screen, exposure to the screen, और ये थोड़ा सा reduce होना चाहिए because it affects the eyes and all. We're not prepared to face it. अब वहाँ पे एक रहता है कि should we keep only the main subjects? How do we bring in art, music? क्योंकि you will find that even if you keep an art class or a music class, the attendance is very low in these classes, online classes. So a break is again coming up. So do you think that Delphic can do something in this matter? Yeah, how can the connection be brought? How can we bring, how can Delphic Council come into this? Or किस तरह से हम online maybe we could, get into it? How could we promote? How could we motivate students कि हाँ, you need to, imbibe, accept art है कि music है कि dance है, इनका भी कुछ है, like वो connection या link हम कैसे ला सकते हैं?
See, early stage, if you talk about the primary level of school teaching, Dr. Parimita, we have also faced as a principal, as you rightly said, even I have faced as a principal. Yes. But when I worked in the EdTech segment also, and as a strategist, I understood that my hands-on experience went on innovation and blending all this. Today, we talk about a lot of content creators, we talk about illustrators, we talk about graphic designers, we talk about storytellers. ये क्या है? These are art and culture. Without knowing art and culture, how they become this is something which is required. Now, at the primary level, you cannot have a traditional method of teaching. You need to
Yes.
have a very interactive and experiential level of teaching, because we talk about those 5 C's, from collaborations to communications to
Hmm.
critical thinking, creativity, and curiosity among children. ये उसी age में build up होती है. So let the children have in the school, within the lesson plan, you can design an activities in such a way where you do have role plays, where you have dialogue renditions, where when you're teaching maths, let a child draw maybe an architect design on a chart paper, with keeping all angles, tangent, elevations, everything, because he will keep maths in mind, but he's doing an artistic design. Let a child understand the leaf configuration. You are showing leaf configuration on an online classroom structure. आप उसी को एक लीफ भी वो साथ में रखे, which is a feeling. Aesthetic feel is very important. Art
Aesthetic
come
feel
in
is
a
very
picture.
important. Yes.
So a child will see the actually cut of the leaves. He will also see the visual art जो online आप उसको दिखाओगे video. So he's having both the experience of online and offline. See, it's very important that how do you engage a child in a classroom, whether it is offline classroom, whether it is online classroom. But
Mhm.
nowadays, due to pandemic, the best thing happened. It is blended learning of both online and offline. And I feel that that has scaled up a teacher's training and pedagogy to a different level of expertise. Now, अभी जैसे you are talking about online हो रहा है, limited है, और Delphic Dialogue कैसे help कर सकता है? According
Right.
to me, sitting on the chair, if I would have been a principal, I would have invited Delphic Dialogues and told, okay, today I'm taking 3 core subjects, but I have my own art, music, and science teacher who needs a training. I would have done a little bit of training from Delphic Dialogues to my team. And when it is an optional subject, because one child has to opt 2 subjects of art and culture within a class. So parallelly, so many classes can go. So when a child is being with the art and culture and doing, he's building up the intelligence, but he's also building up the skills. He is at different level of high level of thinking and is more passionate about. And we all know, even अपने साथ भी हम देखते हैं कि when we like something, we learn it faster. So how to blend your subject with the art and culture is a very beautiful composition, which I think Delphic Dialogue can promote into the schools by training the educators and the stakeholders. And they can also have parent orientation programs to make them understand what is the value of these, what is the
Yeah,
futuristic
exactly.
career avenues basically.
Yeah, we had this art and integrated learning by CBSE. I think we had in the last session. I think, towards the end of the session, I think we all got the circular and we had to have art and integrated learning incorporated in our school, with the teaching sector. How do you think we can have this art integrated learning, and can Delphic do something about it? Delphic, would you like to say that Delphic could do something about this art integrated learning of its CBSE, and perhaps promote it or bring it up and revive the whole thing? Any possibility from your end
See,
you think is
CBSE has
possible?
already come up with a lovely 4 hours, a 5 day a week concept on this with the new education policy recently. That is fair enough. The point which we need to look into is that because see, the classroom motivation is something which every child looks. I got to know from a friend that his child has gone after 22 months to school and is very excited because he's getting motivated to meet his friends after a long time,
Mhm.
meeting his
Yes.
teachers. There's a lot of
Mhm.
empathy, peer loving care, everything within the school. So a child builds attitude, child's attendance is very high, his academic performance all goes high. When you are bringing art within the classroom, when you're bringing the culture within the classroom, the child's development is at the best when art and culture is indicated. Now, CBSE has keeping this in mind. CBSE has brought about 4 hours, 5 days a week kind of concept for pre-primary students. For primary student stages, they have brought drawing, painting, clay pottery, sculpting, all this now in the system. In
Mhm.
secondary level, they have done 2 periods a week, because even secondary students need to know that, from music to instrument learning to clay pottery, sculpting, painting, many sides of they have brought into picture. Now, Delphic Dialogue since is well equipped with all this. Delphic Dialogue understand the art and culture to a different level, which is not has reached to every school, which is not reached to every educators and teachers or parents or students. I think Delphic Dialogue will be an overall holistic platform for all these educators to actually get a well hands-on experience, because as an educator, I'm imparting a knowledge or I'm imparting art, music, interest within my child. But am I equipped with that is a question. So that is the first initiative. I think schools can collaborate with Delphic Dialogues and get their hands on and strategically understand how to integrate art within a classroom.
So
Wherein the
you,
role of
yes.
Delphic, yes.
Hmm. So
So
Delphic
if we
team, I would say, yeah, schools should get in touch, or get in touch, and we could have more of such programs where schools could be given a feeling like this is how you get. So I think we need. Who do you think could be the best ambassadors for this? From Delphic point of view, who could take it to the schools? Because actually, we need to reach to schools. We need to
right,
reach to schools because schools, they have the wide you know uh, arena to cover the whole thing. It starts from there only. And as we said, from the primary level also, if we see, we focus more on alphabets, numbers and all, and drawing is taken as a secondary subject. Do you think that if we change the pattern and make we start the education with art, music and dance, could we bring in some change in it and then focus on the reading writing part? Like literacy is all about alphanumeric thing, or do you think that no, it's about aesthetic value? What do you think is actually required?
if you talk about reading
Hmm.
and if you talk about maths, reading comes with, see, I'll give you, it is already there. Understanding is, we talk about reading. We read the poem in a different tone and rhythm. We read a story with a different rhythm. We read a dialogue exchange with a different rhythm. Now, what is rhythm? It's a part of the music. The tone of expressions. When we are with high tone, either it is we are very aggressive or we are anger. When we
Hmm.
are moderate tone, it means we are at peace. It's showing our internal characteristics. When we are very low tone, either we are in pain or in any agony. Your tone reflects. That's how music has been. Students here listening music, pop music, they are like full energy. When you listen a low, slow emotional music, you get low. So it actually brain waves, the mapping nervous system develops based on the kind of music therapy you bring in the school. So I think it's a very practical way of blending. It already exists in a class, in a school. For example, I'll tell you, if you talk about the stakeholders who can bring, I think there are two stakeholders. The top scale stakeholders who are the owners or the principals of the school, because the one who brings that understand the value, what he's driving towards the leadership pipeline and other stakeholders. And the second one is the students themselves, because they are the users. They will be actually doing hands-on experience with why we call it hands-on experience. Why do we talk about DIY, do it yourself?
Right, yeah.
You simply give a what do you call it, as blow dryer to a student. There's a concept also called as you know BYOD, bring your own device, or break your own device. So some devices are given. Now you, when you switch on the blow dryer, you get a different level of wavelength. So you're bringing physics and concept, understanding the frequency of the noise, the pitch and the modulation. When you open the blow dryer, you will understand the parts which is there, which is part of the engineering and the architect, how it is built. You ask the child to dismantle it, then you ask the child to reassemble it. So he's also understanding engineering and he's designing the blow dryer with his own concept, where he's bringing art also in picture. So what is happening? You're blending all the concept in one. So this way of learning is experiential learning, which is actually to be brought within the system. And it will
Yeah.
only come in the system when the top stakeholders understand the value of this kind of learning, because at the end of the day, learning is important. Innovation is important in today's time. We are growing very fast. We have to create innovators in the system. So two ends, I would say, are very closely connected, from a stakeholder in the education system, from principal to the students. So it's the choice, and in between is the parent who has to be oriented to make them understand that why this is important and
Yeah,
how it
that's
will
true.
take the career graph. That's
Exactly.
how.
That's absolutely fine. And even we see that students who are into listening to music, or who are all rounders, who have a good control with their art, they are perform better in their classes and all. But somehow the gap is there, that I guess we need to educate our people and need to educate the parents that, the rat race is not all about scoring. It's about, understanding the talent and helping the child to come up with it. Now, that's really very beautiful thoughts shared by you, and I'm sure that our viewers must be benefiting something about it. So, do you think that we are in the first episode of Delphic Dialogue, and we will be continuing with our episodes in the coming future also? So, what motivational message, or you would give to the entire Delphic Council team? Because this is something which has been very exciting and enterprising for the entire members of the Delphic Council. So, from your end, in one line or in a few words, how would you like to motivate us all, to come up and actually infiltrate in the society, in these schools, in the education sector, and bring about change?
Uh, Dr. Paramita, it's a very beautiful question because we're talking about life, and students are something who becomes everything. If you see today's startup, all the young ones are startup holders at very early because they understand the value of the passion, they understand the value of the skills and what they can do wonders, which they could explore in last 5 or 7 years or 10 years of time. They understand that. It's very important that, and why they understand, because they're able to sync their emotional side with themselves. There's a few of them have got a lovely mentor. So as a Delphic Dialogue team, as an educator, and how closely I have been with youth, teachers, and education segment, both from the corporate side and within the school's capacity, I believe that first thing, which is the topmost, is about understanding and syncing the emotional side of the student. What a student takes by default, how he flows with the education system. That's very, very important side as a Delphic Dialogue can structurize and make a mandate, to bring art and culture within the education system by blending the emotional side of the students. That I believe in one line, if you ask me to, and if I have to give it to a name, it can be something as comprehensive art education or comprehensive art and cultural education system delivered by Delphic Dialogues to the schools or to the colleges.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful message from you, Mr. Asmi Julka. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I think, connecting emotions, connecting intelligence, connecting everybody's a genius. We say the genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, and beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Every child is blessed with something different, something unique. So we need to, give a lot of time, a lot of patience to actually understand. And we have seen that, children, they have multiple talents. And art is something where I think more of it, we should let it come out from within the child. Everybody is blessed with it. And, let the child understand, let the child come out with his or her own creative thoughts. And that is what Delphic is about. Like, it's very something unique what Delphic is trying to do. It's actually trying to recognize the talent among the children. And that is the reason that we've come up with this beautiful program of Delphic Dialogue, where we wish to connect to education. As educationists have been working in the sector for years, and they've been mingling with children, they know better. So through this beautiful program and with people like you and more to come, we wish to see that, we connect to children and we get this aesthetic feeling of the children out, and we help people realize that art and culture is something very beautiful. And I would say that India is blessed with a rich heritage of art and culture. So many of it, different forms of art and culture exist in our country. And it's time that we actually explore, unearth, and bring it to the world. And the best ambassadors will be our children. And in future also, like you said, as Ms. Vashni, you said that we need to, focus on career counseling and make sure that stakeholders, the school leaders, they understand. And we start this counseling at a very early age. And from the primary level only, we encourage children. Perhaps somewhere we need to, come out with it. And well, it's been a real pleasure talking with you, ma'am. And
Thank
I
you so
hope
much.
that
I would
I
also
hope,
add a little bit on this.
yeah,
It's a
sure.
partnership. I would
Yes,
say,
yes.
let's call it as a partnership of 21st century, where partnership is between knowledge and skill. Indeed, without that, children are not going to go anywhere. But it's also the partnership in 21st century between educators, society, civic society, business leaders all together, because education is not about only traditional method
Yes.
nowadays. It's a blend of technology as well as innovation along with co-curricular skill and academics. So focusing on all the 5 parameters will definitely give a very big exposure to our students, and they'll develop as a very good human. That is very much important when we go ahead. And thank you very much to Delphic Dialogue, all the members, the organization as a whole, Chetan, you, Mrs. Dr. Amita, everyone for calling me, inviting me as a speaker and sharing my thoughts on a very, very important topic, which has always been very close to my heart. And I've seen students doing wonders when art and culture is being integrated into the system. Thank you
It's a
so much.
pleasure. Thank you, Ms. Rajni, for having, like, we're really very happy to have you on the show. And, I think we've started on a very lovely note with such a, enterprising personality who has actually, brought up a lot of motivation among the members. And I would like to tell our viewers that please keep in tune. And every week we will be coming up with somebody who will be coming, from the education sector and from different parts of the society, who is going to help Delphic build this bridge between the different sections of the society and ensure that we do recognize, revive, and bring back our art and culture back to the world to recognize. So that's all for today, and it's been a pleasure. And I hope that you've enjoyed this. We look forward to more viewers coming up, and your questions are most welcome. We will soon be coming up with a media where you could even give your questions, and Delphic is all the way ahead, ready to take this to every part of the institutions and every school and see to it that every child benefits from it. So that's it all for today. And thank you to all our viewers. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.